Hi everyone, welcome to today's Q&A live about U.S. immigration law. I'm attorney John Khosravi coming to you from Los Angeles, California. In the outside, it's supposed to be really smoky air. It is in the mornings, it makes me cough, but right now it wasn't too bad. So I thought I'd come outside and record our live half an hour today, every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific time. May change the days in the future, but for now, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And we'll see how long I could be here without my throat burning because I already feel the smoke. But we're going to talk about U.S. immigration. As always, this is just general education intended for just knowledge about the situation, but schedule a consultation with a lawyer in private to discuss your individual case. That's the best way to do it. If you are interested in learning about the marriage or fiance-based kind of cases, I have a free guide, the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide, and you can download it by going to www.marriageimmigrationlaw.com/ebook. So just go, make sure to type in that www.marriageimmigrationlaw.com/ebook and get all the information you need about the marriage green card or fiance green card process so you know what's up. Then you can schedule a consultation with a lawyer and be able to, ask the questions you need to ask and know what's up and not go in there blind, not knowing what to do. And I guess with that, let's get it started. All right, everybody. I'm beginning to already regret being out here with the smoke. I'm going to be coughing through this. Might cut it short, but thank you for everyone who's coming on board. Feel free to shoot out your questions. In the meantime, we'll talk about some stuff that's going on with U.S. immigration. There's a lot going on, and some are hard to explain, some are too depressing to explain. For those who had TPS from El Salvador, Haiti, and two other countries, a court said that they're not going to continue that program, so it's going to get canceled. Around 400,000 people. We're not sure where these people are going to go or how they're going to remove them. So that's a messy situation, as well as the filing fee changes and increases for the most part are coming down October 2nd. We don't know what's going on with the Form I-944, the public charge form, if that's going to stick or not, or what's going on, still not clear. And then there's another thing I wanted to talk about. It's just a lot of different things that are unknown. But we're just pushing ahead and filing these cases. The COVID-19 travel bans are still there. Good news, a judge said that diversity visa lottery can go forward. And I think they said they're not going to be subject to the COVID-19 travel ban. So that's going to be magical, but those cases have to get done in less 15 days. Hopefully it'll get done. So for people that were applying for those, there is hope. There is hope, so we'll see. Gluchka says, is USCIS offices are open? Yeah, most of them are open. They're operating at a slower pace, but USCIS field offices are open. But at the end of the day, you have to wait for your turn for them to call you to come for an interview. And there's nothing you can really do about that except for some rare cases where you sue them or something, or there's some sort of particular issue. And getting an info pass appointment, the ability to go there and ask questions is much harder. Getting a stamp in your passport for a green card stamp is much harder. You have to have some good reasons. So it's a little bit of a mess, but they are scheduling interviews. I have an interview coming up on Monday in San Jose. I had one in Orange County 2 weeks ago. Client got the green card. So they're doing this kind of stuff. Akiashi asks, is embassy processing cases faster than before? Yes. I had a Chinese case. We submitted the documents for review. 2 weeks later it was approved, and 2 weeks later is scheduled the interview in China. I was really surprised how fast it is. On the other side, I have a case in Canada and Russia. They both approved the NBC documentarily, qualified them really quickly within a few weeks. But it's been months now and no interview. So the NVC portion, National Visa Center portion for consular processing, where they check your documents, make sure it's okay, that's happening pretty fast. But once it's happened, then it's up to that local embassy to inform the National Visa Center whether they have spaces or not. Apparently in China, they got a lot of spaces open and a lot of bandwidth to handle cases. But with Russia and Canada, my case too, are not so much. So I don't really know. Akiash, for that, are cases for spouse visa processing faster too? It depends on what you mean. As I just explained it right there, it depends on the case and the embassy. So that varies. Just the specific documentary qualifying, the National Visa Center, that's fast. But other parts of that, it depends on your case specifics and the embassy you're dealing with. And each one is different. For example, in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, those cases, it was already a year wait. Who knows how long it's going to happen? No movement really happening for Mexican cases, which is one of the most busiest embassies. So it's a bad situation. Those people are kind of stuck, but we'll see what happens. But overall, that's the situation with the national consular processing in general. You just got to move the case forward, and hopefully the interviews come sooner rather than later. But we don't have much control over that, and that's the situation we're stuck with in consular processing. So I actually have a video coming out that describes the whole consular processing step. I think it's like 20 or 25 minutes, so definitely catch that. I'm going to put a lot of detailed stuff out there. Akash, follow this up. What other countries where the process time is long for the case? You know, there's a lot of different countries, hundreds of countries. I'm not going to go through each of them, but Mexico is one of the worst, but it just depends on your case. You could do research by going to their website or Twitter account or something like that and see what's going on with their visa processing. But I just want to give a couple of examples. I don't handle every country at all the time. Sometimes a lot of cases for one country, not others. And so that's that. But yeah, I was saying, I'm doing really breakdowns of this one too, going over a lot of each process step. So definitely go to the JQK YouTube page and you'll catch a lot of information about that. Miha asks, does USCIS remove public charge rule while filing I-485? I don't know. They're not supposed to anymore, but they haven't updated the website as of a few hours ago when I checked, but that could change at any time. We don't really know what's going on. Hopefully I'm trying to file a case tomorrow, day after tomorrow, and not have to submit the I-944 public charge. So hopefully they don't update the website till then too and I can get it in, but you never know. Maddie asks, my husband got his EAD but never received his Social Security. What should I do? You should call the Social Security office and see what's going on. That's that. Gadish asks, what about asylum case update, please? There's no general update. It really depends on your particular case and the circumstances you're going under. So that's really case specific to give you, but there's no general updates that I can give you about asylum. All right, so thank you for all asking. You see might be flies flying around here. But going back to that public charge I-944, it's pretty ridiculous, but we don't really know what's happening. And every day by day, we're getting information, but not really clear what's going on with it. Ups ask, why is Embassy not holding interviews for I-130 cases for children? Because they're not. I don't know. If it's a child of a U.S. citizen, they may do it if they have time or if they're open, but each case is different. Akash says, does arranged marriage have an effect on getting a visa? I actually just published a video on this on YouTube. Akiash, I explained that specific story. Go to youtube.com and check out the JQK Law Firm. It's one of the recent videos where he talked about arranged marriages and people in that situation. You can get a fuller idea of it there. Marifova asks, have they said when they'll reopen USCIS? They never close USCIS, and USCIS is operating. So they're not going to tell us when they reopen because they're open. They never closed. Parm asks, sir, international license work in California, please tell me. Each state permits people to use their foreign driver's license for a set period of time. I don't remember all the details of it, but if it's not expired for a couple months, 6 months is okay. But check individually for each state. And although I'm a California lawyer, I don't keep track of driver's license law, so I don't want to answer that here because I don't know the most up-to-date information on that. Musi asks, I'm married to my husband. He is a U.S. citizen. When are my kids going to get their Social Security or a green card? I don't know. There's a lot of factors. I have to analyze your case to see whether they can get a green card. They may already be U.S. citizens. So schedule a consultation with a lawyer in private to see what's going on. Blue asks, USCIS in how many days renew it? I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about renewing, and each case is different. I don't give timelines. Jingaban asks, MVC requested additional paper after all my husband's paperwork was accepted. Is that bad? It depends what the paperwork is and why they did accept it. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the case. Blue House has work permit. Just go to USCIS.gov and check their processing times and go by that. It's not a reliable number, but I don't want to get into timelines here because each case is different. I just don't know. Nobody knows. Not even USCIS. GNS, it's a business license from. I don't know about business licenses. So yes, somebody got to schedule a private consultation. Dr. Sammy asks, I filed for a reentry permit back in March, but I still haven't received my biometrics appointment. Can I travel without biometrics and return to US to get my biometrics when I receive my appointment? That's a really good question. Before, up until last year, I would do that all the time. I would tell clients, if you got to travel, you have to be in the US when you apply for a reentry permit, but you can leave and come back. Now, I was studying the regulations, and it's not clear exactly if that's allowed or not, but it's been practiced for 10 years at least. I'm practicing. I found one web page of USCIS where it said you have to stay here the whole time. But again, I've almost always done reentry permits like that where people leave and come back. But judging by the fact of how President Trump is and stuff, I don't want you to do that. I wouldn't advise that anymore. But do what if it's a big financial issue, you got to leave and go do it, but just try to come back within 6 months. but I can't say for sure, because the way they make these rules is that, one day it's okay, one day it's not, and they don't really tell us. But as I said, for 10 years, I've been doing that exact scenario. But now I just don't know. And judging by the way the administration acts, I'm, conservative. I would say don't do that. So it's really not a good answer, Dr. Sammy, unfortunately, but that's been the situation. Snack Mac asks, how hard is it to immigrate to the U.S. compared to other countries generally? Well, I'm not an immigration attorney for other countries, so I can't speak to the other systems I'm not familiar with. In general, U.S., it depends on your case. If you have a good case, it's not too hard. If you got a bad case, it's hard. So the question is just too difficult to answer. The U.S. has certain types of programs that's different. For example, Canada has a point system. So if you meet the points, then you're good. But U.S. doesn't have a point system. But if you're a parent of U.S. citizen, you're good like that too. Well, before Trump, you were good like that. So it really depends on the case. It's too difficult to answer such a general question that's so wide. You really need more specific. Gotti follows up. I have a green card and a blade for my son. How long will it take to adjust status? And a blade for my son. I'm not sure what that means, but I don't answer questions about timelines, about how long things take anyways. We can talk about that in private. I won't have a good answer there either, but I'll give you a 20-minute spiel of the situation. Pruni asks, can we reapply for a visa extension after we get one time? You could try. I mean, it depends on the reason you need it, what type of visa extension it is, but you could try. It can't stop you if you have a proper case. Mia says, I-944 form is not available on website. Can I just submit I-485 without I-944 for now? It's not clear. So when you go to the I-485, I not talked about this earlier, but when you go to form I-485 on the USCIS.gov webpage, it still says that you don't need to submit the I-944, but they base that upon a court case that they said, while this court case is still valid, you don't need to submit the I-944. However, USCIS took that off their website. So, you can still find the form I-944 if you type it in Google. You can find the actual form, the PDF of it, but the page of it is missing. So it's not fair for them to hold us accountable to submit it when they don't have the page available. But at the same time, USCIS under this administration is unreliable, unfortunately. They're not giving us guidance. So, if you have a good case where you have so much, the foreign person doesn't have public charge issues, then fill out the I-944 and be safe. But if that's a worry, then maybe submit it sooner rather than later and see what happens. There's no guarantees. Case might get returned, but that's just the situation right now. I'm not sure. They're very unclear. So eventually there'll probably be a lawsuit about this, because that is their fault for just being so unclear about what the situation is. Adias asks, hi, can you explain about the presidential proclamation? A hit, please. Well, there's presidents can make proclamations that control a lot of different make decisions or laws. Now there's hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of presidential proclamations. So the one you say presidential proclamation, that's the rule. Presidential proclamations are proclamations, decisions by president that become law. Now if there's a specific one under a specific fact pattern, maybe I can answer that. But your question, I can't answer more detailed than that, because I don't know what you're asking. Oscar says, do you think the election, depending on the outcome, will have a rapid impact on immigration law? No, the immigration most likely will have no impact, and immigration laws it'll take a long time, if any. Usually Democrats don't care about immigration unless they're in an election cycle. After that, they're just as bad as Republicans. So we could expect nothing good. Dr. Sammy follows up, so will the abandon my reentry application if I travel without biometrics? What is the penalty if I travel without biometrics? So the penalty would be that they abandon the case. Whether they will or not, I don't know. There's no clear policy on that, because people have been doing that without a problem in the past, unless they change things without telling us, which is possible. But that would be the penalty. Now, if you're getting a reentry permit because you're going to be outside the country for a long period of time, well, that's, you can't be out that long. So you got to do the things necessary to not make it look like you abandoned your status, abandoned your residency. So it's not a problem for, keeping your green card. So consult with an immigration attorney in private for a more detailed answer to analyze what your lifestyle is and what you're doing, so you can find the best avenue on that. But yeah, if you abandon your ranch permit application, you just lost the money on the case about it. But the consequences are bigger, is that you want to be outside for a year or two. That's going to annoy you and create problems for you. So you want to plan for that. Oscar says, do you think, well, I'll answer that one. User 42 says, how can I send a missing document to USCIS for I-130? Well, you wait for them to request the RFE, or request for evidence, an RFE. Sometimes if you're missing an important document, they just might deny it outright. So you could try sending it in, without them requesting it. Send a copy of your receipt, explain what it is, and hopefully it'll find its place, but it's no guarantees. They don't really want you sending documents in unless they ask for it, or unless it's within the first initial submission, or maybe at an interview if an interview is possible. But if you have no choice, then just mail it in and hope for the best. Puneet says, thanks, you're welcome. Mihai says, thank you so much, appreciate your answer, you're welcome. Thank you so much for kind words. Jadbach says, how about 17-year-old guardianship, how to get a green card? I don't know. I don't know. The question doesn't make sense to me, but other than that, how to get a green card, you need to schedule a private consultation to review what's going on with your case about how to get a green card. Yeah. So, what was they talking about earlier? Yeah, this I-944 situation, complete unknown. And, this is when we talked with Dr. Sami about the reentry permit. That's the issue, is when they have such major portions of a green card case, like Form I-944, and they're not giving us guidance, and every day they're changing it, it's hard to say what's going on with anything else. And so it'd be conservative to say, yeah, don't leave, but if you got to leave, just try to get back, within a year, probably, hopefully, or really not let more than 6 months, but, they can sometimes be flexible about it. It really depends on what's going on with the facts of your case, why you're leaving, what kind of lifestyle you left behind in the United States to show you didn't abandon it, that kind of stuff. USP asks, are they going to open embassy? How long can they keep it closed? They could keep embassies closed however long they want. So, that's that. Unfortunately, there's no answer to how long to keep it open or closed. That's just the way it is. And some embassies are already opening. As I mentioned earlier, we have a green card case for a spouse of a U.S. citizen in China that had got their interview scheduled in 2 weeks from now. I had a fiance visa in New Zealand a month or two back. So they're happening, but some are. It depends on the location. For example, there were a bunch of scheduled cases in Israel, but Israel all of a sudden shut down for 3 weeks for COVID-19, so they cancel all those appointments. So, they might be open now, they'll be closed tomorrow. We might have one officer at the local embassy get COVID-19, they shut it down to be safe, and so it just closes and they cancel your interview. Like right now, in last Friday, the fire was so bad in the San Francisco, Northern California area, they closed the USCIS office in San Francisco. So all those people who had their green card interviews, their citizenship, naturalization interviews, they all got canceled, or even oath ceremonies, because of the weather conditions. So it's really hard to say any of this stuff. You just have to be patient and wait it out, because it's like you're asking me to tell what's happening in the future. And as I always joke around, if I knew what's going to happen in the future, I'd go and bet some money in the stock market and gamble on some sports games, basketball games, and bet on who's going to win the NBA Finals and make some money that way. But it's not realistic for me to do that. I can speculate. I'll probably get more views on YouTube and people are more interested, but I don't want to just speculate. So same thing with Pakistan Embassy. When will it open? One of my friends, I was talking yesterday, who's an immigration attorney, he requested an expedited emergency for a spouse of a citizen in Pakistan, and he had his interview. So they are doing it in Pakistan, because my friend just did it. He requested expedite for some reason. I don't know what the reason for expedite is, and they did it. But I'm not sure if they just do it for everybody or not. I haven't had a Pakistani consular case recently to be able to judge. I don't have any pending ones that I filed, do I? I have Pakistani case usually always in America already. So embassy wise, I don't have any active, but again, I said my friend just filed one and he got expedited at the embassy, and they're calling them into their fingerprints and to get it done. Paul says, as a spouse of a U.S. citizen, when can I apply for citizenship? I have green card already. So if you've been living with your U.S. citizen spouse for 3 years since that, getting your green card, and then continuously for 2 years and 9 months ish, or 2 years and 90 days less than 3 years, you can start the application, but you need to submit and complete a bunch of other requirements of eligibility: living here long enough, paying your taxes, not having criminal history. So the first criteria, a little before a 3-year mark of having your green card, living with your U.S. citizen spouse, you could file for citizenship. But whether you can apply for it or not, I don't know your case history to be able to advise to your specific case. Okay, Miha has submitted an RFE and delivered 50 days ago. Last is submitted tomorrow. No change in case status. Yeah, just whenever they get around to it, they'll get around to it. So you just got to be patient. Miha, thanks for sending the live. There is no deadline for them to do anything. Now, if it goes way too long, maybe you could sue them or something like that. But for the most part of these cases, you just have to be patient, and they'll get around to you when they get around to you. It's just the way it is. They don't really care. That's it. People like they call me and contact me expecting some sort of system we have here or things go by the book. There's nothing like it. It's just each case is different, and they'll get around to doing it when they get around to it, and that's just what we have to deal with. If you have factually something that we could argue is an emergency, maybe you could do something, but they've gotten really strict on that. Things I used to be able to get expedites for or emergency cases done, don't budge anymore. They've gotten very strict on that, and you got to recognize the fact that you know who the president is, you know what the deal is, you know what the platform was they ran on. So that's the situation that we're dealing with, and so it is what it is. Savio says, I got an approved I-130 for alien relative, so what should I do next? I don't know. I have to see who your alien relative is, what their background is, where they are. There's a lot of things. What you should do next is consult with an immigration attorney. Contact the lawyer, schedule a consultation, talk with them, and see what's going on with the case. See if adjustment of status is needed, if consular processing is needed, if the preference category, if it's a preference case, is there. We got to look at all this kind of stuff. Is current, that is. For user 49 says, how can I send the passport style photo to USCIS, which I happen to miss sending with the I-130? Well, usually there are a few for those, but you know, you try mailing them and see if that'll overcome it. I don't know. You can either mail it to them or just wait for the RFE, and hopefully they will give an RFE. They won't just deny it. Sometimes nowadays they'll just deny stuff. Histor asks, how long does it take to receive a social security number after arriving in the U.S.? Can I work without it? So how long does it take? Historically, it'll take a few weeks, but you know, with the Social Security Office, you know, having issues with processing cases and stuff like that, it could. I have cases months go by where they don't get it. You should contact them, call the Social Security Office to see what's going on and how you could get the ball rolling on that. Can you work without it? Well, I mean, if you find a job that requires a Social Security number, then no. I mean, technically, you should have your work green card when it comes as the work permit. You can work, but when you find a job somewhere, if you want to be an employee, they're going to ask you to fill a form I-9 out, and that's going to ask for Social Security number. So you know, it is what it is. Lupez asks, how long is the I-139 taking? I-130? It depends on the case. Go to USCIS.gov and check out what type of case you have and how long the times are. Ortiz asks, did you know what's going on with TPS for El Salvador? Yes, the court said that TPS for El Salvador could be taken away, as the administration has done. So unfortunately, if we're from El Salvador, they're going to start the process of taking away TPS status for you and eventually asking you to leave the United States or taking you to court to, you know, process your removal or deportation from the United States. It's a catastrophe for people from El Salvador. Been here for 20 years, many of them. Yeah, it's a bad situation, unfortunately. I'm sorry to hear if that's your case. Shiko asks, is it possible to get a U.S. visa stamp back on passport within U.S.? I mean, if you do visa processing, you could potentially mail it to them if the embassy skips the interview and says just mail in your passport and we'll visa stamp it. That's that. You could do that, but it won't extend your status if you're already in the United States. So I got to see what the reason is you're asking a question like this, and we could talk about it, schedule a consultation. But that's just too case specific for me to be able to get into here. I need to see what's going on with your case. Shyster asks, hello, how bad is working without authorization in past, not preparing adjustment of status, married to a U.S. citizen? Well, if you're married to a U.S. citizen and you're applying for a green card through that, having unauthorized employment is not a problem. However, some people who have done authorized employment, when they're getting that job, they told their employer and fill out paperwork saying they're a U.S. citizen. If you did that, it's catastrophic. It's horrible. So, for example, you found a job at a restaurant and they asked you to fill out Form I-9, or sometimes they don't even ask you to do that. The employer knows you don't have status, so they fill it out on their own, and they write that you said you're a U.S. citizen, they signed for you. If USCIS finds out about that, sometimes they do, or they look it up, then you get something called false claim to U.S. citizenship, which very rarely, if ever, has any exceptions to it. It'll be a cause of removal or deportation from the United States. So you have to look to see the places where you did unauthorized employment, were these places where they claimed or you claimed to be a U.S. citizen, because that could come back to haunt you real bad. But other than that, one scenario, if you use fake documents and fake IDs, in some states it's considered a crime, a fraud. So you got to see what's going on. But some states it's not. It really depends on the state and the officers at USCIS you're dealing with. So we need to know more information about you. That's why I always need more information. I need to see what's going on in your specific case to see what's going on. Okay. Let's see on TikTok. Mr. Jose asks, how long does it usually take to get a receipt for I-130? I sent my I-130 on January 26th. So, okay, if you sent a I-130 on January 26th and you didn't get it within a month later, either the receipt was lost or they didn't get your case. So you need to, see if they cashed a check or the credit card that you used. If they did, that means they have the case. Then you contact USCIS and ask them to resend a receipt notice. It'd be hard getting hold of them. But if the check or credit card is never cashed, that means it didn't go through something, and you got to figure it out. One great Scott, I won't be taking live, communications here, but feel free to ask your questions. Dr. Sammy follows up. Are application support centers doing biometrics for reentry? In general, the application support centers are doing biometrics, but there's a 6-month backlog of cases they're trying to go through. Right now, I'm getting biometrics for cases submitted in February. So, it just you gotta wait your turn. They're super backed up, and they've slowed down. They're not seeing as many people as they usually do. Ali Sheikh asks, if I marry in back country, my wife apply for visitor visa, and then we file on 30 when she reach here, that's against the law for you to use a visitor visa with the intent of coming to the United States and applying for a green card. Because as a visitor, you're saying I'm coming temporarily, but if she does come here and file for a green card, not just the I-130, but really files for the green card, that could potentially be considered misrepresentation or fraud. Even filing the I-130 potentially, you need to consult with an immigration attorney before making a bad decision like that and talk to a lawyer in private. Some information about this you can get from my ultimate marriage green card guide at www.marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Again, that's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Actually, you have to type in that www at the beginning. I still haven't figured out how to get rid of that. But www.marriageimmigrationlaw.com and /ebook, and it breaks down the green card process and advises you, don't enter the United States with a tourist visa to kind of bypass the system. One great Scott is, how does one enter the U.S. right now despite not being able to, because they are from one of the excluded countries? Would they be able to go to Mexico 14 days to fly to the U.S.? Yes, if you visited one of the excluded countries because of COVID-19, you can leave, be outside for 14 days, and on the 15th day, try to fly into the United States. Airlines sometimes are still afraid to board you, so that exists, but you could go to a third country and try to fly in. That's possible. I've seen it happen, but practically speaking, there's people make mistakes. Airlines sometimes are afraid to board, all that kind of stuff. So we'll take 1 or 2 more questions, and we'll call it that a day. Yad asks, what documents do I need to file for EAD renewal? Check out Form I-765. The instructions break it down what your case needs. Each case is different. I can't advise you as to what you need, but check out the instructions. A junior says, can someone still apply for DACA if it's their first time? No, they're not accepting first-time DACA applications, only renewals, which are renewed for a shorter period of time. Mr. Jose, you're welcome. All right, so if you have one more question, let me know. If not, we'll be back again tomorrow on TikTok, Immigration Lawyer John, and on Wednesdays, we're on YouTube Live. So you're probably watching this video on YouTube recorded. We'll be live on Wednesdays, no Instagram. Instagram Tuesdays and Thursdays for now. I might be switching this all up in the future. But thanks to everyone who joined and asked questions. It's always fun taking your questions, and the steady flow of questions like this is great. You're welcome, one great Scott. So the conclusionary thing is that who knows what's going on in immigration, but get your case started, and that's why you have a lawyer. So you just keep an eye out what's going on to try to work things to the best ability to maximize the speed and just efficiency of your case, and just keep an eye out for you. It's an advocate right there, so we try to do, and it requires a lot of studying and a lot of communication with different people. And Negin asks, how to change address in National Visa Center after the interview. That's gonna be hard. So try contacting the embassy to let them know, and the National Visa Center and Embassy. Just go to the National Visa Center's contact page on their website and inform them, but also inform the embassy as well, and hopefully it goes through, because that's a major issue. Because when your spouse does come to the United States, they're gonna mail the green card to the address listed, and if it goes to the wrong place, you have to pay money to get a new green card. It's gonna take forever. But again, try to contact the embassy and try to contact the National Visa Center, and hopefully one of them work. It's not a typical situation I deal with. I haven't done it before, but that's what I imagine what you got to do. User Soy asks, what's going on with the U visa permits? I don't handle U visa cases. It's just taking forever, though, from what I hear. All right, everyone. I guess that's it for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We'll be back again tomorrow on TikTok, Immigration Lawyer John, and the recording of this will be on YouTube as well as live tomorrow, Wednesday, September 16th on YouTube. Thanks again for everyone who's joined, and I appreciate it. If you are thinking about a marriage or fiance case, go to www.marriageimmigrationlaw.com/ebook and get the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. Thanks, everyone. God bless. Be safe. Bye-bye.